Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Brian Banks. So Brian Banks is the true story about a African-American man who was very, very talented at football. He was projected to go into the NFL and become a big star, and then a rape allegation came out against him that turned out to be incorrect. It was false, and this tells the true story of him trying to overcome that and trying to get rid of that on his record so that he can play in the NFL again before his parole ends. So Brian Banks is a film I was kind of looking forward to. I liked the look of the trailers. It did kind of look like fake Oscar bait, and it was coming out at a time that a lot of fake Oscar bait does, which is in August. August is like the prime month for fake Oscar bait, for movies that the studio made thinking this will make tons of Oscars. Then it turns out it's not very good, so they release it in August so that it's still kind of close to the end of the year, but it's not close enough to actually be considered, and it's not like PR is going to make a lot of stuff saying, oh wow, look at this studio being so stupid about trying to release this movie and trying to make it an Oscar candidate. So it was coming out around that time, so I was kind of worried, and the reviews weren't shining. It has about a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's middling. It's about halfway. But in all honesty, I don't understand where some of the negativity is coming from for this movie, because I think that it's a really enjoyable, really well-structured movie. I can start off with the negatives about this movie, which is that, for one, it doesn't have a super long run time. I think it's around 1 hour and 40 minutes, but it feels really long. It feels like it's a 2.5 hour movie, and it's kind of structured like one too. It kind of has the feeling of one, so that was a little bit weird to me. Also, the whole movie is very, very soap opera-y, and what I mean by that is that it's very overdramatic in multiple places. It is very serious, very lots of expressive shots, a lot of close-ups. It's all a lot of really, really close detail that just makes it feel a lot like a soap opera, and it detracts a lot of the realism from the movie that could make the movie a lot better. I don't think realism necessarily does make a movie better, but I think that when you have a movie like this where you're trying to tell a true story, having a sense of realism amidst all the other themes will make the themes a lot richer, and they substitute that for making a movie that's more entertaining. So this is definitely not an Oscar movie. I don't think that the director had Oscar in mind when he made this movie. I think he was just more making an entertaining courtroom drama about a true story that not a whole lot of people know about. I didn't know about it, and I'm glad that I do now, because it's an incredible story, and it's told in a very entertaining format. Even though it does feel long, and you definitely feel the length, it's still really entertaining, and I was never bored while watching the movie. I think that it's a movie that's very fast-paced. It goes along very quickly. There's not really a scene that's wasted in this movie, and that's something, I think that's the movie's biggest strong point, is that every single scene reveals something new, and it's something interesting. And they're also constantly putting up roadblocks for the main characters that don't feel like roadblocks for the sake of roadblocks. They're actually interesting, and they actually make sense with the plot. So, in all honesty, I think that it's pretty well written. And the acting in the movie too, even though they're not working with the best dialogue, even though they do have some soap opera-y moments, I think that the acting in this movie is pretty solid as well. And it's, again, nothing Oscar, but I think that the performances did stand out to me. And in the end, there's a lot of good things about this movie. I don't think it's exceptional, and it's definitely not anything that will be remembered in a couple months. It's the type of movie that you'll see play on HBO like a couple months from now, and then it'll stay on HBO for about a year and then get taken off and then disappear. It's definitely one of those movies, and it's not memorable in any way, shape, or form, but for the time that I gave to this movie, it was well spent, because it was very entertaining, very rich, and in the end, it's just a fast-paced, really well thought out, well planned movie. I really don't understand where the negativity is coming from on this movie. I just think it's generally likable. I will give Brian Banks a 6.5 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for Brian Banks. So, what are your thoughts on this film, or what is your favorite movie about football? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.